Welcome everyone to another workshop for the Infinite Space Bazaar. My name is Josh. I'll be your host today, and I'm excited to welcome Manav from the Rollkit team. Today we'll be learning about Rollkit, doing an introduction of Rollkit, and then I think we'll be seeing some rollups in action, so I'm looking forward to it. Manav, it's great to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me here. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Manav. I am on the Rollkit team. I'll be talking about introducing what Rollkit is. And before that, we'll talk about what sovereign rollups are as well. So everyone can see my slides, right, Josh?
Yeah, we're good. We're out there up now.
Yeah, we're good. So Rollkit is, there are currently no sovereign rollups that exist. To my knowledge. So Rollkit is the first sovereign rollup framework. And before we talk about what Rollkit is, let's talk about what sovereign rollups are, because that might be helpful before because it is a sovereign rollup framework. So a sovereign rollup is a type of a blockchain that publishes its transactions to another blockchain, typically for ordering and data availability, but it handles its own settlement. So when there is no extra settlement layer in a sovereign rollup handles its own settlement. And that's a question that comes up a lot. But what is the settlement layer? Just like a layer one, standalone L1 does not have a separate settlement layer. A sovereign rollup doesn't. A sovereign rollup has kind of gives you the sovereignty of an L1, or it's just like launching an L1, but you do not have to, the time to market is really fast. And you do not have to pay for bootstrap your own economic security. You don't have to, you just would pay for economic security as you go, as whatever you need on demand. So that's what a sovereign rollup is. So this is kind of a
quick question about settlement. So I guess going back, can you help understand what's the difference between a sovereign rollup and something like Optimism or Arbitrum or something? So are those settling to Ethereum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. Yeah. So something like Optimism, Arbitrum, right? They're smart contract rollups. So they have a smart contract on Ethereum that they post their state routes to.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to prove to Ethereum every every hour or every 10 minutes or something, depending on the role implementation, that the state route they're posting is correct. And the transaction data that they post, that could be on Ethereum, or it could be on another layer like Celestia. Right? That's a different question. But those roll-up frameworks would have a smart contract on Ethereum, and with that is called a bridge contract. Mm-hmm. And you have to constantly prove to that chain that my state was correct. So if you wanted, so there is another chain that is kind of you're settling to, is kind of what it's called. And you are proving to it its state. So you're kind of committing to that state all the time. So you cannot, we'll get into it later on, you do not have the ability to hard fork a smart contract rollup, but a sovereign rollup you do, just like an L1.
Okay, so that makes sense. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So just kind of an overview of the modular stack, the different functions in a modular stack. So a sovereign rollup is doing both execution and settlement. In case of a smart contract rollup, the settlement layer would be like Ethereum, but the execution would be the rollup itself. Yeah. And who actually verifies the chain? So this is another kind of difference here. So in a sovereign rollup, the nodes of the sovereign rollup are responsible for verifying whether the new transactions are correct, whether the transactions that are posted on the chain are correct. And if there are any are any invalid transactions that get published to the DA layer, they're rejected and ignored by those nodes. And the nodes of the sovereign rollup are responsible for determining its correct chain, not the DA layer. So just to contrast again about like how it differs from a smart contract rollup, in that case, like if you're settling to Ethereum, Ethereum is verifying your rollup. That you have to prove to it that my state was correct. So you are proving everything to Ethereum instead of your nodes itself. So that's kind of like the key distinction in like what sort of settlement here means. Yeah, and this is sort of another diagram to visualize what a sovereign rollup is doing. It is posting its transaction data. So the rollup blocks that gets produced, they get posted to the DA layer, and that's what the transaction data is. And the rollup light nodes or rollup nodes will be running the DA layer light node, which depending on the DA layer, they'll be doing data very sampling. In like Celestia's case, it does. And then any kind of proof systems that the sovereign rollup is, they would verify that as well. So it's sort of a visualization for it. And before we move on to what is Rollkit, let's talk about what really makes a sovereign rollup sovereign. So it is how we define it as is the ability to upgrade via hard forks. That's not something the current rollups, which are not sovereign, that's not something they have right now, because you need the settlement layer to fork if you wanted to fork a smart contract rollup. But for a sovereign rollup, they have the ability to upgrade via hard fork, just like a layer 1 blockchain. And even if most nodes upgrade, a node cannot be forced into accepting an upgrade, which is what makes it sovereign. The community, which defines a blockchain is just like a community computer, kind of like that's like one definition. And that community has the power to decide what they accept or not, instead of, and by contrasting it to a smart contract rollup, that is the community of the settlement layer that decides what the rollup state is. But if you want to have a sovereign blockchain, a sovereign rollup, your community decides. So that's like a very key distinction. So there's no extraneous settlement layer. So yeah. Any questions before we move on?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So what is Rollkit? Rollkit utilizes the shared security of a modular data availability network to allow anyone to launch their own sovereign customizable blockchain as easily as smart contract. So we want to make it as easy. We want to make launching your own chain, which has its own superpowers with your app, as easy as a smart contract using another chain, like a DA layer, like Celestia. Right. So this is kind of like a overview, like a short diagram of like where Rollkit fits in. So the app itself is sort of independent from Rollkit, and Rollkit talks it via an interface, which is currently this application blockchain interface. And Rollkit is like the component that ties this like the middle component here that is responsible for interacting with the app and the DA layer and like all the kind of other components that make up a rollup blockchain. So go into it after that as well. So some things you get with Rollkit, you utilize all the existing like powerful tooling that exists in a already vibrant ecosystem of Cosmos. So there's all these features like IBC, ABCI++. There's been a lot of thought that has gone in this ecosystem to make these like building blockchains as powerful as it can be with all these tools. And so with Rollkit, that it's ABCI compatible and all this, like it's equivalent with what is Comet BFT right now, which is like a usually right now used with all Cosmos SDK chains, but Rollkit is a sort of a replacement, is an alternative to Comet BFD. So it's an ABCI client software, and you get all the great features of the Cosmos ecosystem along with it. You can pick and choose. What we're trying to build is when you want to build a blockchain, you can kind of pick and choose the different modular components of what makes a blockchain. And those involve like the DA layer, sequencer, executor. So the node currently in the current Rollkit node is does both sequencing and execution, but we want to and like are working towards supporting separating these two things of sequencing and execution, and you can kind of pick and choose all the components you would like, and it just enables it just enables another degree of freedom for developers to pick and choose all these different modular components you can have in a chain, so you're not like forced to like pick one. So that's kind of what we're building. So you feel free to you're free to optimize for your needs, your chain. You can control your block production on however fast your chain wants to go, or how block gets produced. So those are all kind of like great things that come with the Cosmos SDK as well. So Rollkit just is compatible with all those things. This is like a core feature. Like Rollkit allows you to take control, which means that again, revisiting, you have the ability to hard fork, and when would you want to hard fork? If you want to upgrade, or in the event there's some sort of hack or a bug on the chain. In a smart contract rollup, you cannot really upgrade, or you, unless you have an upgradable smart contract, which has usually a multi-sig or a council. So you do not need any upgrade keys here, like a smart contract rollup. So that is usually like poses a centralization risk, because there's usually a council that has the keys to this bridge contract. But with a sovereign rollup, nodes choose to participate in upgrades, and you would just have a fork in case that someone a node doesn't decide to participate. So that is that's like a feature of sovereign rollups. You do not also, just like we talked about before, you do not need to have an extra different settlement layer. Since you own it, you have complete power over it. So you don't need to pay any extra settlement costs. So in the smart contract rollup, that would be Ethereum. And I guess that's kind of an overview of what kind of the core features of Rollkit and how it works. Let's try to dive into actually deploying a rollup. So we'll deploy a CosmWasm rollup for this demo, for this workshop. And we will go through one of our tutorials that we have, and actually go into the script of what is going on under the hood when you launch a chain. And we'll see a chain live on Celestia. When you deploy a chain, you will be able to see in the Celestia Block Explorer the rollup blocks being posted. So let's get into that. So I will present my screen. Before that, are there any questions yet?
From the chat. I guess I was going to ask you what features you're most excited about that are maybe in the works or planned in the future for Rollkit.
Yeah, for sure. I guess let's go back to the slide.
Nice.
Features I'm most excited about is making currently having Rollkit enable be like right now we still have support like stage 0 rollups, which means there are still like the node that exists for Rollkit that does both sequencing and execution, and it's like a centralized node. So I'm excited about like kind of decoupling these components and adding more options and interfaces to allow developers to pick and choose these things. And more excited about these different execution environments that are coming in, and how would you have different proof systems and different state validity modes for these particular execution environments. So yeah, just more generally excited about like supporting, enabling more degrees of freedom for a developer and giving them more like choice. And that allows like a bigger community of developers to use Rollkit and have their own sovereign chain. So yeah, and I think that's very powerful.
I guess to get my understanding straight, you could also take something like Osmosis, just as an example, and turn that into a rollup using Rollkit, right? So it works with existing Cosmos SDK chains, or if you build a Cosmos SDK chain, you could use Rollkit as basically the consensus mechanism.
Exactly. So a Cosmos SDK chain like Osmosis or any Cosmos SDK chain that exists, right? Those right now, there's the most popular option there is Comet BFT for their consensus mechanism. So that is also called like ABCI client, and there's the Cosmos SDK app talks to Comet BFT via this interface called ABCI, and Rollkit is a replacement, or it's an alternate way to use Cosmos SDK for rollups instead of like a layer 1 chain. So you do not need to bootstrap a whole validator set now. So you could take an app that exists like Osmosis, a Cosmos SDK app, and you could just replace Comet BFT with Rollkit, and you would just have a rollup now. And you don't have to like coordinate a bunch of validator sets anymore to launch the chain, and you still get like you don't have to bootstrap security from scratch. You get it from the DA layer, right? And we have a bunch of DA layer options in Rollkit. Celestia, Bitcoin is another one launching called Avail, and then Rollkit is completely neutral. We're building it as a neutral public good. So any of these options we just have interfaces for them. Nice. And any implementation. So Rollkit is neutral to those. So anyone could add an implementation to use their component to Rollkit.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Let's go spin up a CosmWasm rollup. So we will go share my screen. Cool. Are we good? Can we share a screen?
Yeah.
I'll make it a little bigger.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah.
Maybe kill that. Yeah.
A little bit. Is this good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Awesome.
Further hurt, I guess.
Further what?
Maybe zoom in more to get rid of the sidebars.
Okay. That is good. Okay. This is better.
It's good.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll deploy a CosmWasm rollup, right? So this is one of the tutorials on our website. It uses Celestia's Mocha testnet in this example, and we have I have the environment set up here, which is basically just installing Golang and installing Rust. But so I'll skip ahead to the part where you actually deploy a rollup. So here I have CosmWasm. So we take go to the CosmWasm repo and we git clone that. So I have that in my IDE here. And what we have done here is we just went and replaced the Cosmos SDK version that it was importing to be Rollkit's fork. That like we currently have a fork that just replaces how the app is started. And instead of using Comet BFT, it would just use Rollkit. And we have this script when you launch a chain, all the things you need to do here. So, and I have a Celestia Lite node running on Mocha here in the background. So that Lite node is exposed on a port that the script kind of talks to. So it's exposed on this RPC address called in just a local port 336657 on my machine. And we will just go over how exactly launching a chain here would look like. And we will also find this rollup on Celestia's Block Explorer for Mocha. So let's get into actually the script that we'll be going through. So here we're just setting our chain ID, the kind of initial Genesis token amounts. So we have a token called UWASM that is the token that is local to the COSM-WASM rollup. And it is, so we define a bunch of these variables that are local to the chain. We will also get the latest DA block height from a Mocha RPC. So that is kind of where we will start posting rollup blocks from. We get a auth token from the Celestia Lite node, which is basically needed for us to write to Celestia. So this is kind of standard on how any rollup would use Celestia. And we would initialize the chain, we would reset everything, initialize the chain. There's some configuration things we need to do for WASM itself. So just configuring things like minimum gas price, chain ID, all the kind of things we defined here. So we're configuring. And just like how you would have a Comet BFT chain, you would initialize it. You would do the similar things. You would add your key to the list of keys in the binary, create a Genesis account with that key. So that key, which is COSM-WASM or Celestia key here, is staking this is assigned this token account. So if we created a Genesis account for this key here, and we have a single Genesis transaction that gives this key that allows it to stake this amount that we defined earlier. And then one last thing we have to do before is to just take when we launch a rollup node, the address of the sequencer node, which is like the rollup node that is going to be producing blocks, we just need to add that to the Genesis file. And that Genesis file is what is shared by any verifying full node of the rollup. So everyone knows that who is the rollup sequencer that we have defined and whose signatures to validate it against. So this kind of part that's doing that, we can kind of skip over this. Is just creating a restart file. And to actually start the chain, we are going to take the binary, which is wasmd. Wasmd start, we're going to say it is a block producer. This is the Rollkit sequencer. We pass in the DA auth token to give it permission to write to DA. And we will have a DA namespace. So let's change this namespace so that we can kind of look at in the Block Explorer. So I will pick something random, let's say 5.6 PC. And then the DA start height is what is going to be queried at the beginning. And then some things about like the where we actually talk to the DA node. So those are all the kind of things we are passing in to start the chain. And we're working towards like abstracting this away. So you would just put this in a config file instead of passing all these flags. So just to improve the developer experience. And let's like now start the chain. We're just gonna run the script. Let me actually save this so that we get this reflected. So we're gonna view everything. So we have a rollup chain that's running now. It's producing blocks. We have it configured to be producing blocks every second. So you could actually configure your block time here as a flag as well. So it can go really fast if you wish to. And
really fast.
yeah, so this is just every second it's producing blocks. Right now it's just empty blocks. And then let's go and actually see this, try to find this namespace on Celestia Block Explorer. So let's do that. So we will take this Block Explorer and zoom it in. So this is mainnet. Let's go on Mocha. And let's try to find our namespace. So our namespace ended with 56 BC. So we should see it here.
There's a lot of data on Mocha, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of data in Mocha. Let's see. I feel like, yeah, we should be able to do this. I tried this before. Okay, it is right now. Let's see. So it's it's 56 BC. So one thing I'll do here is probably
just put the string in the browser.
Yeah, I'll put the string. I'll put the string here, 8E, like here. Let's try this again. 56 BC is like what I want to find. Yeah, there's a lot of activity in Mocha.
Was there an error log?
It's an error log in trying to submit to DA. So maybe we can start that again. So I will start my Celestia node again here. So that is good. Let's make sure it is syncing headers. Finish sampling headers. Okay, finish sampling headers. So should be good there. Let's start that. This is to start the chain. Okay, great. So we will start a chain again. And I'll make sure to see in the logs that the data is submitted before we actually go and try to find one there. So it's creating and publishing blocks. And every once in a while, it will also publish to DA. So cool.
Yeah, so it's batching up like 15.
Yeah, it is batching blocks, the rollup blocks, into one DA block. Yeah, and it posts that. Yeah, so it says successfully submitted to the DA layer. Yeah, it says successfully submitted to the DA layer in DA height 167. So this is like something we can probably will be helpful. Again, we are looking at 56 BC. Okay, we found it. So if you look at the namespace, it's very fresh. We are posting blobs to it. This is 12:30. So our blobs have made it to Celestia. You can look at the messages. Kind of like each blob, Celestia blob contains a bunch of roll-up blocks, right? So if we refresh, we'll probably see even more coming in, these messages. And if you look at these pay for blob data, like Selenium allows you to look at this, and you can kind of go look into like the raw data, what is kind of going in here, which is just the signer here would be my the Celestia Light node that I am running. And this is kind of serialized, so we can't really read it here. This is the raw data, but you can see the data is kind of making it into Celestia using the rollup. And yeah, you could go ahead, like you have a rollup now, you could like follow the rest of the tutorial to like actually deploy smart contracts and have whatever your favorite app rollup you'd like to see. So one thing I would like encourage is to go into, for example, like Osmosis apps and like try this out. So there's a lot of applications here with which have the Cosmosm smart contract linked, and you could just like take those smart contracts, and if you're a Cosmosm developer, you could take these contracts and deploy on your own rollup, and you get dedicated block space for your application in this way. So that is an example of spinning up your own Cosmosm rollup and still producing blocks. So I will. Are there any questions before I kind of conclude here?
There aren't questions from the chat. I'm curious though, if you go, I guess, back to Selenium.
Oh, back to Selenium. Okay, I will do that.
Share it too. Why is there an array? Can you zoom in, please?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, nice. So if you go to that pay for blobs transaction, and then it looks like there's a lot of blobs like in an array. Is that like each block or something?
Yeah, that's a great question. So these are, so since the rollup is configured to produce blocks every 1 second, and the block time at Celestia is 12 seconds, the rollup actually batches all the rollup blocks together and posts it as one paper blob on Celestia. So these all like blob sizes, this is one paper blob transaction on Celestia, and that includes like I guess 12 or 13 of these blobs, which are the rollup blocks, and then each of them right now it's a constant size because right now they're empty, and you can see all the commitments on Celestia and like all the blob sizes. So the data here kind of constitutes all the rollup blobs, all the rollup blocks.
Scroll down on Selenium, not in that window, but on the page. It looks like you can see all of the unique blobs that have been posted.
Yeah, you can see all the blobs that have been, all the rollup blocks that are part of this PFP transaction. So you could even, not sure if you can actually, this is just kind of the
that's what you'll see.
hash version of it. Yeah. Yeah, this is just a hash of the, I don't know if the base 64 would do anything, but yeah, this is, you can kind of, this is what the rollup block is on Celestia, on this namespace that we configured. Yeah, and the signer is my light node account that I funded on the Celestia Discord and the Mocha faucet. Yeah. Cool. So you can kind of, on Slam, you can see everything about the blob. And since our rollup is still running, we should be able to see like the namespace just being populated more and more. You can see cool graphs in Selenium as well about it. Yeah.
So can I bridge between
rollups? Go ahead.
Can I bridge between rollups?
Can I bridge between rollups? Yeah, you can bridge between rollups. It depends on where our, so right now, Rollkit rollups, they have IBC enabled, but we're starting with since it's a single rollup node, we're starting, and then in IBC, the standard Tendermint like client verifies the signatures of the validator sets. And in this case, the rollup ISA is just one. So that one, the current version of IBC that's Rollkit is running, it supports, it has high trust assumptions, so we don't condone using it. But we're working with the IBC Go team towards making these like clients more trust minimized. So that's the work with IBC, but you could also use other kinds of bridges like Hyperlane that are permissionless to use. And that's kind of where like bridging would fit in. Those are kind of the most two popular options, Hyperlane and IBC. There's also Axelar that you could have if there's a way to have a permissionless Axelar deployment, you could have a bridge from there. But yeah, those are kind of the bridges that exist right now. So this is different from a smart contract rollup in the sense that there's no canonical bridge to from the settlement layer for like ETH liquidity. But in the Cosmos ecosystem, there is like IBC is the most popular kind of bridge, and you can bridge from a rollup. You could bridge from Celestia to the rollup. You could bridge TIA. You could bridge any assets on Osmosis to the rollup, or there's USDC on Noble. So you have all these kind of the major assets that you can bridge to the rollup. But just like a sovereign L1, we expect like most of the assets kind of would be native to the chain. Like just like how a sovereign L1 does not necessarily rely on a bridge, a sovereign rollup does not need to rely on a bridge. It can it can have a lot of its assets be like native assets. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I guess in theory, like if I had two Rollkit rollups, I could right now, like there's a high trust assumption, but I could bridge between them using IBC.
You could, yes.
Is there a world where I can also bridge from a Cosmos chain to a Rollkit chain?
Yes, you can bridge via IBC to a Cosmos chain, to a Rollkit chain, or you could bridge between two Rollkit chains. You would just need to right now like run an IBC relayer for that, and we have instructions on how to do that in our docs. So if you went to the Rollkit docs, you can. There's this. I think we just moved stuff here, but there is IBC connection guide that likely got moved more recently. Oh yeah, here, yeah, how to add IBC connection to your rollup. So you go through this, and we're also working towards adding, like there's a lot of overhead right now to like run all the infrastructure related to a rollup yourself or run relayers. So we're working with kind of these RAS providers to add Rollkit as an option to launch your own sovereign rollup out of the box. So you don't necessarily need to like later on understand, or if you would like to not deal with running your own infrastructure, but we have everything, all the instructions here if you would like to, so
would that would that be something like kurtosis?
That would be something like kurtosis. So kurtosis is also partnering with ISP. They're participating in the Infinite Space Bazaar. So you could take a look at their docs as well on how you would spin up, or I think they should already have some things on their website, or talk to them if not on their Discord on how you would spin up all the Rollkit rollup related infrastructure through kurtosis, so you don't have to run infrastructure yourself necessarily. Yeah.
Might be wrong. I think they have a bounty actually for the Infinite Space Bazaar.
Oh yeah, they do.
Kurtosis for
kurtosis does. Yeah, if you look at the Infinite Space Bazaar page, they have a whole bounty on different package authorships or interoperability applications. So definitely take a look. And I'm sure, yeah, they have like great docs on how you would go and add all these different infrastructure from faucets to Oracle or like a bridge like Hyperlane. So they have all these packages out of the box, and you could just use that to spin up a rollup as well. Or you could do something between Kurtosis and Rollkit. So Rollkit also has you could check out if you're wondering about what you should build. We have a list of ideas that we linked here. On like our team compile the list of different ideas you could things you could build. So talk to us in the ISP Discord. We also have office hours every Wednesday. Just look at the ISP calendar. Yeah, and encourage you all to explore building a solvent rollup with Rollkit.
I have a few more questions. So going off that last one, if I were a developer looking to build a Kurtosis package for Rollkit, for example,
yeah,
what would be the best thing to build a package for? Would it be like a vanilla Cosmos chain or maybe CosmWasm chain?
That's a good question. So I think like here, you don't necessarily, there is the application. So Rollkit is agnostic of the application that runs on it. So when you make a Kurtosis package, it would likely just be a package to run a rollup node, Rollkit node with a specific application that you already created, right? So that it shouldn't be dependent on what the application here is, whether it's CosmWasm or a custom Cosmos SDK chain, right? And what does matter though here is like the relating infrastructure, the supporting infrastructure that comes with it, like a block explorer or a faucet or an indexer. Those are more generally more specific to the application you're building. Yeah, and something to add, we also have just stood up a CosmWasm testnet that the Rollkit team is hosting. So I will update those things on the Infinite Space Bazaar bounty page. But if you look at our docs, we have a testnets page where you could find all the links to all the instructions on how you would deploy to this CosmWasm testnet as well. Yeah, but I will also link that in the Discord.
So the CosmWasm testnet, if maybe I were considering doing a CosmWasm rollup of my own, this is probably a good place to play around first before I actually
exactly
infrastructure and do all the DevOps side of
that. Absolutely. If you're just trying to initially building a CosmWasm app, using something like Abstract, right? They have a great library for supporting infrastructure for building a CosmWasm app. You could first go and deploy on the CosmWasm testnet just to get a flavor of it. And once you're kind of tested your app or played around with it, you would like your own rollup, dedicated block space, instead of sharing the testnet with multiple apps. You can just spin up your own rollup, or even talk to the Kurtosis team for them to handle it for you. But you'll have dedicated block space and customized.
And I guess eventually, we've seen during the workshops here the EVM rollups where you can basically one-click deploy. I guess that's the end goal for something like Rollkit too, right?
That is the end goal. Yes, yeah. That's the end goal of what we're working towards. We just had, since it's the first sovereign rollup framework, we just had went through audits, and we have a release that is sort of production ready now for people to go and deploy rollups on mainnet. And the next step really is to make it really easy and accessible for anyone to launch a rollup using this sort of one-click deploy, using different infrastructure providers like Kurtosis, or like in the future, Caldera. There's another one called Numetric, or if any other RAS providers would like to add it. But that's kind of the next step and end goal, so that it's really easy for anyone to have their own chain And we're also working towards adding all the sort of supporting infrastructure for a chain out of the box. So in Cosmos, there is you could actually have custom block validity rules, or you could even have an oracle that is enshrined in block production. So the Skip team has a great product called Slinky that we are right now working towards adding that integration. So any Rollkit rollup can get an oracle out of the box in the future. So that's in the works as well, just like a teaser. Yeah.
You mentioned that was Skip. I'm going to drop the link to the chat there.
Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah, they have a great oracle that they worked on. And fortunately, yeah, we're working on towards having that integration with Rollkit. So anyone can get their oracle with a Rollkit rollup out of the box. So you don't need to have something, when you launch a chain, you don't need to go and find an oracle separately and figure out like how that would work with you if you're building something in DeFi.
We do actually have a question in the chat from Garang Patel. Is there a specific release or just main branch?
Yeah, great question, Garang. Yeah, that is that would be v13.1. That's the latest release, as far as I remember. Yeah. So v13.1. If you go to our GitHub repo, github.com/rollkit/rollkit, on the bottom right, you will see releases, and that'll be v13.1. That is what you would use to be if you're building a rollup today. Yeah, and I've also linked that in the Discord channel for future use.
We have some compliments from Yarrick and Matt. Thank you.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, Matt. Yeah.
I would just ask one more time if there's any questions in the chat. And in the meantime, I have one for you. What would you like to see built during the Infinite Space Bazaar?
What would I like to see built? I would like to see applications that benefit from being on their own chain. And then we have some examples in the Sovereign Rollup ideas, but some of them are like sovereign communities, like DAOs or NFT communities, to have their own platform for their community to coordinate together. So I would like to see things like that. There I've linked. You can find more in the Notion doc that I have. I would like to also see some like supporting infrastructure, which is like an application maybe that takes advantage of a custom block validity rule. That again, like Skip has this thing called Block SDK, which allows you to have add custom block validity rules to Cosmos SDK. So an example of that is like maybe a rollup that allows you to have limited gas fee transactions for certain users that meet a criteria, like holding a certain NFT under the chain, right? So you can build things like that, which are more like custom for a particular app, or even things like just like a game using Cosmosm that people can play on this dedicated rollup, or this coming up with different VM implementations. Like right now, Rollkit supports Cosmosm and custom Cosmos SDK apps. We're working towards having an EVM and MoveVM on top of Rollkit.
Nice.
But something that'd be great to see, the SVM. There's a huge community which understands the Solana virtual machine and has experience building apps there. So it'd be cool to see SVM rollups on like any using Rollkit, and they can choose to pick any DA layer like Celestia. Yeah, so definitely check out like the list of ideas that we wrote down. I
Yeah.
aggregated those with a bunch of people in the community. So yeah, I would like to see all of these things, hopefully, but we'll see what people create.
Looking forward to see what people build.
Likewise, looking
See that
forward.
you have one last slide, so I want to let you get to that.
Yeah. Last slide. Yeah. Thank you for your time, everyone. And Go House Mindflux. I'm part of that. So great. Just wanted to mention that. Yeah. If any other questions before we drop off.
Speak now or ask them in the Discord if you have more questions. Yeah, on that note, I think we're good to end this. Thank you everyone again for attending.
Okay.
And thank you, Manav, for teaching us about Rollkit. And we
Thanks,
look
Josh.
forward to see what everyone builds.
Looking forward. See
Bye.
you, everyone. Bye.